Hello folks, and welcome back to the Speed Shack. It is great to be back in fairly short order. It's only been, I don't know, a week or so since the last video. I did say we'd have another one out shortly, and we got quite a lot of stuff done, which is great, because that means this thing will be on the road in no time at all, in about 25,000 years. But anyway, we've got grinding, cutting, welding, hammering. Yeah, all of that to do. It's not the most interesting of stuff. A lot of time lapse, and hopefully you don't find it too boring. It is dry, so please bear with it. I don't think there's much in the way of making cutting and welding really that interesting, but we shall see. Enjoy the video, and let's crack on. Right then, in the car, one big hole, one template. So this should hopefully fit something like, if I've done it remotely right at all. So we've got a little bit of a bend to put in the sheet steel. It fits most of the way across. We need to put a little bit extra. If we don't drop it through, we need to put a little bit extra across either the top or the bottom, just to give a slight lip so we can position it without it being a total dick. And we need to make a mental note that this corner is shit. But apart from that, the template fits quite nice. Let's crack on and make that out of some steel. Right, this is just some plain old 1mm mild steel. Give or take 1.5 meters by a meter. It's cheap stuff and it does the job just fine. Get your template, stick it on, draw around it, whizzer out with an angle grinder, tin snips, whatever. I'm going to use an angle grinder because my tin snips are shite. So, Sharpie. Make sure you just leave a little bit extra so you account for the thickness of the cutting disc, or you cut to the outside of your line. And because this needs a couple of little bends in it as well to accommodate the original shape of the transmission tunnel, I shall stick in a few mil extra, and I can always trim it off after. Right, and mark each end of your bend so that we can get a straight edge. Stick a nice bend across it. Entertaining stuff, this, isn't it? Well, fingers crossed, if it helps one person to do a bit of steel work, I'll be a happy man. If it doesn't, I've just wasted my time, haven't I? Fingers crossed, that's not the case. And we can crack on, cut this shit out, and get it tacked in the car. Woo! Now remember, kids, safety first. I don't want to inhale any of this grinding disc, neither do I want it in my eyes, and I'm a total pussy, so I stick these on as well. Gloves, because I like my fingers. Send it. Mother. Oh. Now, we haven't got a press brake, so to make this bend across here, we can clamp it between two pieces of steel in the vise and give it a little tweak. It only needs a little bend, I think. It doesn't need a huge amount. Can't remember. But set her up, give her a tweak. Bloody batteries. So we've got one faulty battery. Thanks, Einhell. Now this can be an arse to try and set up, so it helps if you can do it between your hands first, get it roughly in the right place, stick her in, and then clamp her up. Well, that went surprisingly smooth. I was expecting more of a fight. It's not quite lined up. So we give her a bit of a tap. Check and double check which way your bend has got to go. So clamped in like that, the top has got to come towards me. I have done it many times where I bend it the wrong pigging way and then it's scrap. So, give her a quick tickle. That looks about right to me, considering it's got an awful lot of flex in it. Nice and careful as you're undoing it, because it will drop straight onto your feet if you are not wary. And that looks reasonable to me. We're a little bit off with the bend line, but because I put a few mil extra onto it, that shouldn't be a problem. Right, if anybody can recommend a decent work light, give me a shout, because all the ones I've tried are absolutely toss. Like you can see with this one. So, what do we have here? We need a lot more of a bend on it. A lot more. Not quite so much at the front here, but a lot more at the back. So, I think we'll just give this a bit of shit by hand. Because we're super strong. Yes, man noises. This is going to need some finessing as we tack her down. We'll get some heat into the panel and give her a bit of a whack, just to be not so gracious with it. We're not too far off at that. We need to put a little bit of a notch in this top section here, because we've got this little trim screw. Right, we're back. We've got a little nodule at the corner now. That's a technical term, which allows us to position much nicer on the edge there. That's lovely. Right, so next thing, we'll get this harness out the way. Run the grinder with the flap disc all the way around this, get some clean edges to weld to, and then we'll start blowing holes through some metal. Right, to remove these, you should just give him a tug. Just give him a tug, he says. Just give him a tug, tuggy tug tug. Give him a tug. Not that we're an animal or anything. No. We respect the car. before you start welding, get yourself a bloody extinguisher nearby. I've set fire to myself too many times, and to the underside and inside of cars once or twice by welding. Fortunately, we always had something to hand to put it out. These are a lifesaver. If you have a workshop or a garage, get one, or 2 or 5. Stick them around the workshop. Make sure that you know how to use them. Really, really important. Stevie's safety tip of the day. Boom! So, we get her in position. Make sure you're happy, and then we can get a tack on it. Right, now you want to work your way around any little bends, stick them in the panel. As you work your way around, a little bit of heat will help. Right, we're fully tacked in. Next thing to do is we'll stitch weld all the way around it in sections. We're not going to go all the way across and follow it all around, because you'll put too much heat into the panel and you'll warp them to hell. We're now going to have a quick check underneath to make sure nothing's going to catch fire as we start putting a little bit more heat into this, and then we'll crack on and get it done. And we caught fire again. I bloody hate under seal. Fully seam welded, nice and sealed. So it ain't the prettiest, but it's bloody solid. And I've definitely seen worse. Well then, now we've got the passenger side done. Repeat it for the driver's side. It ain't rocket science. We've got a piece of card, 300 GSM. We've got a pair of scissors and a Sharpie. Everything the growing boy could need to make a template. So, in true Blue Peter fashion, here's one we made earlier. There we go. One lovely template. Now, to save time, we'll do exactly the same thing with the steel. There we go. Nice and easy. A steel plate, cut, forged, and the fires of Asgard, and ready for this shit heap. Let's go stick her in. Ta-da! plate fits reasonably well. Couple of tacks, a little bit of beating, job's good 'un. A bit of a fire on the other side. And she's all out. Only a little under seal one. Thankfully she didn't catch. Right, now that this is done, well, it's not finished, it's not the prettiest thing in the world. I screwed up quite a few times with this one, blew a few holes through it. I am very rusty, I've not done any bodywork welding in quite a long time now. But we learn from our mistakes, we crack on, and there's nothing we can't dress with a grinder. That's the beauty about this. You screw it up, you cut it out, do it again. Really no big deal. But it's in. I've seen a damn sight worse, and we'll just nib the tips off with the grinder. Any bits that need re-go over them. But it allows us to move on to the next thing. So I'll hit all of these bits with the grinder all at once. There's no point doing one bit and then moving to another bit to move to another bit. You may as well just smash it all out in one go. So, as you can see here, this is not a pretty hole. It is a spot on the floor where there was bucket seats previously. The mounts were welded onto the floor and they were never protected after welding. So they rotted from underneath, rotted the floor out, and these mounts pretty much pulled out when I got the car. So what we're going to do, we're going to cut this whole section out here. I'm going to redo that whole section because I'm not happy to weld to any of that crap. That's massively fatigued and generally just really shit. And likewise, there's a section just here that you can't see on the other side of the tunnel because I've put the camera in a stupid place. But it's identical to this bit, just for the inner mount. And again, we'll cut that little bit out and make a little patch for there. Right, as you can see, we have got the driver's patch welded in and plenty of other patches welded in on the floor too. There is still a little bit more work to do on this side in terms of tarting it up a little bit, getting everything ground up, because we can't leave it like this. Obviously these welds are not up to par, but they're solid, not pretty, nothing that a flap disc can't sort out. Well, that's that. That was a marathon session of cutting, grinding, welding, blowing holes through, setting fire to the car 4 or 5 times under seal. However, we're done. I didn't subject you to the last, I don't know, 20 to 25 minutes of time lapse. I couldn't bring myself to do it, and you will thank me for it. So we are finally done, and it's all necessary stuff because there's no way on this earth this thing could get an MOT with big holes through the floor pan. They don't like that kind of thing for some reason, go figure. But thank you very much for watching. I apologise again for just how dry grinding and welding is. If you've got any ideas on how to jazz it up a little, give me a shout, I'm all ears. No mankinis in the workshop, that shit burns. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. We've got a Facebook page, like us on there, and we're on Instagram as well, for whatever you do on Instagram, where you ditch on the pictures and stuff. So, thanks again folks, and we'll see you next time.